Hello, this is Jessica Kelly in Park City, Utah, and I'm here for the first episode of a brand new season of Powder Run, a podcast that will focus solely on the Women's Alpine Skiing World Cup Tour. On today's show, I'm going to preview the World Cup in Solden, Austria on this coming Saturday. I'm going to talk about athletes that will be participating, what to expect from a lot of the big names from last year, and also focus on some athletes that will not be participating. So to begin, I really want to talk about those that are not going to be there because there's a lot of big names that are missing out this year. The first, Lindsey Vonn, not a surprise, but she is choosing to skip the opening World Cup this season and has said that her whole season will be more focused on wins and focusing on the speed events. So she's going to be starting to ski soon in Colorado in preparation for the opening Speed World Cups in Lake Louise after Thanksgiving. She has currently 76 World Cup wins, which is 10 behind Ingemar Stenmark, the most all-time of male or female. So she's really focusing on that rather than the overall World Cup title. And I think if you look back at the past few seasons, they've really been marred by injuries. You know, she had her major injury in the 2013 World Championships, and then since then it's kind of been small injuries here and there that have been keeping her out. And so she's going to try to stay healthy, really focus on wins, trying to win the downhill and Super G Globes versus trying to compete in the overall. So I think that'll be something to really look for from her this season and see where she's going to be. And I mean, in her speed events, when she's healthy, she's kind of unbeatable. But it's still kind of interesting because she has won in Solden before. She won a GS World Cup last year and one of the only ones she competed in. And so I think you just never know with her. She might surprise everyone and decide to race in Killington in the U.S. opening World Cup on Thanksgiving weekend. So we'll just have to wait and see with her. But she's currently out promoting her new book, Strong is the New Beautiful, and getting ready to ski whenever it gets cold in Colorado. And then another big name that missed all of last season was Tina Maze. She currently, we don't know what she's going to be doing. She's having a press conference on October 20th to announce her season plans. And there's a lot of rumors that this will kind of be a farewell season for her where she's really only going to race in a few races here and there. And maybe Maribor will be her final race of the year. That will kind of be her farewell race in her hometown. So we'll just kind of wait and see on that. She also has rumors that she wants to defend her World Championship golds from Beaver Creek in St. Moritz this year. And so we'll see if she goes and competes there. But I kind of think that's hard to believe, seeing that it doesn't seem like she's really been on snow much. And then there's Anna Fenninger now, Anna Vieth. She injured her knee prior to the World Cup opening last year in Solden. She was the overall World Cup winner from the 2015 season. She won the GS title. She just kind of was really coming into being really filling in for Lindsey Vonn as the true overall skier on the Women's World Cup Tour. And she had a major knee injury last year that caused her to miss the whole season. She has been back on snow, but she just recently announced that her knee still causes her trouble, especially in more challenging conditions, so steep and icy slopes, which is what Solden is. And she hasn't announced when she'll be able to return, but it's currently looking like she's still trying to work her way back, get healthy, get pain-free, and then she'll go from there. So we don't really know when she'll be back. She's just one of those ones that has to play it day by day and see where she'll be. And then the last kind of big name is Victoria Ravensburg. Just recently was injured training in Pitstall, which is just a valley over from Solden, and she broke her tibial plateau. And so she's out about 6 to 8 weeks, they said, and will miss the opening World Cup as well. She finished second overall in the World Cup standings last year, as well as the GS standings. She finished just 2 points behind Ava Maria Brem in the GS standings. So she definitely was a favorite going into this weekend that will be missing. So those 4 names will be out, but there's still plenty that will be there. And one thing that I always find really interesting about this opening World Cup is that you don't really know where people are. It's sort of an exciting weekend because you get to see how people's summer training has gone. And that's really what this World Cup shows, is who's had good summer training. It doesn't necessarily set up for the whole season on who's going to be dominating. I know 2 years ago, I think it was, Tina Maze finished, way in the back of the pack in the 20s in the race, and then won the next one of the next World Cups. So she's just one of those ones that, you know, you just never really know with this first World Cup. It's great to see where people are, but things change pretty quickly coming because the next World Cup's about over a month away. So it's fun to see where people are. It's a challenging hill. It's usually icy and bumpy. This year they're supposedly about to get lots and lots of snow. There's rumors of about 1 meter of snow falling over the next 2 days. So there could be lots of bumps, lots of new snow. They always do a great job of clearing the track and making it, you know, as good as they possibly can for the racers, but you just never know. So with that said, I think some of the big names to look out for this year are last year's overall GS champion was Ava Maria Brem. She finished second the year before to Anna Fettinger-Veith. And so she'll definitely be one to watch for. She hasn't done as well on the hill in Solden in the past, but you just never know with someone like that. She could definitely throw one in there. Then we also have Lara Gut, last year's overall champion. She won 2 GS World Cups last year. She's won in Solden before. She has been training a lot this summer. And, you know, I think last year she switched skis at the start of the year to head. This year she has a new technician. And I think the more time she gets on a new pair of skis and the more she's used to that brand, the better off she'll be. So I think she's definitely one that you have to watch out for. Then you have last year's champion at Solden, Federica Brignone. Her style of skiing is perfect for that hill. She's been successful there many times. She's had the lead after the first run and wasn't able to come through in the past. And then last year, both her runs, she just, you know, she really stood out above everyone else. She won by quite a bit, I think over a second. And she just, her style of skiing, she didn't hold back, you know, and the rest of the girls watching, there was definitely some conservative skiing coming from some of the others and not from her. So I think she will be another one that it's hard to kind of overlook. She was pretty strong all season. She finished 4th overall in the GS standings. So she'll be one to continue to watch for. And then you also have Tina Weirother. She finished on the podium there last year. She's always strong in GS. And the hill, for being so steep and technical, actually kind of favors speed skiers because it's really important to carry your speed from the bottom of the steep pitch onto the flat and carry your speed across that flat. And you see that a lot from the girls that are good in Super G and downhill that are also GS skiers. They tend to really have good results in Solden. So someone like Tina Weirother, Lara Gut, Victoria Rebensberg, like I mentioned, Lindsey Vonn in the past, you see those girls really find good results at the early season because they're used to going fast and they're used to carrying their speed and they're not afraid to just put their nose in it and send it down that hill. And then another big name that kind of had some struggles in GS last year after the opening World Cup is Michaela Schifrin. She changed coaches this season. She now has a new coach, Mike Day. He formerly worked with the men's alpine team, primarily with Ted Ligety. So he has a lot of experience on the World Cup GS Tour. The last few seasons, he was working at a local ski academy in Vermont with younger kids. And now he's back with the U.S. ski team solely as Michaela's coach. So we'll see how that partnership goes with her and her new coach. But she's had a really strong summer of skiing. She's known as being a slalom skier. She's no slouch in GS, though. Last year, she was second in Solden. The year before, she tied for the win. So she usually is pretty strong at the start of the season, and it's a really good hill for her style of skiing as well. She also has recently announced that she wants to expand into the speed events more this year, and so she's going to be really looking for that overall title. So I think we'll be expecting good things from her in GS this year. It's an area she's been more focused on. Her slalom is already pretty dominant. It's hard to beat someone when they're ahead by multiple seconds. So she's going to focus more on the speed events. And a lot of times, like I mentioned earlier, with some of those speed skiers, this hill really favors them. So the more speed she's been doing, the more she'll be favored coming into this GS race coming up on Saturday. And she'll be joined, there's only one other American in the race, and that's Megan McJames, an independent skier, Julia Mancuso recently got back on snow after missing all of last season with a hip injury, but she will not be ready to start in Solden. So those will be the sole two representatives from the U.S. And I think it's one of those races that you never know how it's going to turn out. It's always exciting. There's just so many different people that can throw it in there, and you see some interesting results. You see people from the back of the pack. You see girls you've never heard of all of a sudden, throwing in there. There's a Swiss girl who's the world junior champion in GS, Jasmina Suter, who's going to be competing. She was just announced, and she'll be one that you can look for coming from the back. There's tons of Italians that are always in there on top of Brignone. You have Nadia Fancini and Irita Curtoni, Manuela Molg. There's just teams that are so strong. And so it'll be interesting to see. The French team is always one you can't overlook. Tessa Worley has had strong results in the past. She's been kind of inconsistent ever since she injured her knee when was that? 2 years ago, I believe. But their team has been coming on strong again. They were really strong for a few years, and then they had a lot of injuries, and they're kind of back to being a strong team again with a couple girls there in the top 15 in the world. So, there's a lot to look out for at the start of this season, and I think it's going to be pretty fun and exciting. Oh, I also cannot forget about Sarah Hector, the Swedish skier. She won her first World Cup 2 years ago and then was injured last year right at the beginning of the season, I believe in Åre, Sweden. And so she should be back this season. She's young. She's fearless. She's a good one to watch for. It's kind of just so many things, at the start of the season that are exciting that you never really know what's going to happen. So I think I'm going to go with my top three picks for the weekend are going to be Michaela Schifrin, Lara Gut, and Eva Maria Brem in any order. I don't know. I can't pick a winner out of those three right now, but those are my top three. Brignone, I'm sure, will be in there. And, from this Saturday, we go a few weeks, and then there's Levy, and then another few weeks, and we're right into the heart of the season in Killington. So it'll be an exciting opening weekend on Saturday and a lot to look forward to. So those are my top three picks: Schifrin, Gut, Brem. And I'll come back again in a month to give you a recap of many of the World Cups and a preview of more that are ahead. We'll be more into the heart of the season. It'll be exciting times, see more about where these people really are, how accurate my picks were at the beginning of the year, and continue to go from there. So until next time, this is Jessica Kelly in Park City, Utah. I look forward to bringing you all of the updates of the Women's Alpine Skiing Tour all season long.